Hello, and thanks for coming. I appreciate you opening this video and looking into how to use the basics of MeshMixer. My account is Timberlake Creations. I do a lot of graphic design and 3D printing, and a lot of questions I get are based around, hey, how do I edit these files? How do I change these files? I always give the file away for free on Maker World. So if you open them up and you want to make your own changes, this video will help you do that. Okay. So the primary tool that I always use is MeshMixer. You can see it's an AutoDesk product, and we're going to talk about importing, selecting, sculpting, editing, exporting, and examples that we're talking about here. Okay. So first thing, let's talk about importing. So I'm going to do just Control A and select all. So let's import that same part. So I'm going to import. It was called, it's a base for a statue for Rocky from Project Hail Mary. So there, now we've got our basic import done. Simple enough. Let's import something else. I don't know. This is another piece of art that I was working on. And if you want to, just hit T, transport, or transpose, excuse me, and you can move these things around and you can edit them and you can combine them. So let's go shift click. You can combine, you can use difference. That's pretty detailed when you start moving into importing meshes and importing other files and combining them. But for now, I just wanted to show you that you can import multiple meshes into the same and combine and use them for cutting tools, Boolean differences. That's pretty detailed, but for the now, we're just going to stick with the basics. So that's importing. But now let's look at selecting. Okay, so again, on this basic tool here, let's select. There's two main uses, the brush tool and the lasso. Brush looks like this, where you can select individuals. Lasso is just what you would think it is, when you can go like this and select that way. Okay, two basic tools. A really handy tool in here is Crease Angle Threshold. So let's move over to this example. If we wanted to say, for instance, select just this front, or actually let's say maybe just this top panel because we wanted to pull this up or something. If you use brush on this detailed file, you can see how it works. Control Z. So let's do select. I just want the top surface. Oh no, it's bleeding down over that edge. So how do we fix that? We go select and we do crease angle threshold. So 80, right around 80 usually works the best. And so now when you click and select, it's going to find that edge and allow you just to pick up certain surfaces that you're after. Which again, if you're trying to pick up just these panels and make fine edits, this tool is critical. So please use that one. And then again, if you want to just turn it back off, you can do this and then select anything you want. Okay, so that's a good handy tool. So let's talk about Sculpt a little bit. Sculpting is a basic understanding. It's like Play-Doh. You can sculpt, and there's two main tools that I use for sculpting. Those tools are Inflate and Shrink Smooth. So this is my primary brush. This is my secondary. This will be in operation all the time. When I hold in Shift, it kicks into the secondary brush. Okay. Some other important ones, pinch is important. Flatten sometimes, but the ones I use primarily are Inflate and Shrink Smooth. So let's see what they do. So we've got them selected. So we'll sculpt. Now I've got a pretty high strength here and a pretty large size. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So it pulls it, it inflates it right out, which is what we wanted. And then when I hold Shift, you'll notice this changes. So it flips back and forth. So now I'm on Shift, and now it's deflating it, or shrink smoothing. Okay. So this is very, very important when it comes to sculpting fine details. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to come in here and work on this edge and make it different. So it's a little bit big, so let's change that to smaller. And it's pretty strong right now, so let's change it to weaker. And then I can go in here, and now I'm inflating it to smooth it out. And then I'll hit Shift, and I'll smooth it out. Okay. And smooth itself is kind of the most critical. Inflate is mostly to make a couple of fine tunes, but I'm just smoothing right now. Okay, so that's simple. That's Inflate and Shrink Smooth. That's in Symmetry. That's another important tool. So you'll see the Symmetry line here appears, this white line down through the middle. If you need to change it, just click on that tool right there and you can move it around. So we'll cancel that. But usually on my files, it'll find the mirror image in the center. So again, if you're working on something that you can keep symmetrical, it's easier just to use Symmetry. And I'll show you what that does. So now you can see, look, it goes across the face. We'll go Shift, increase the size, increase the strength, and then smooth that right back out. And it does it on both sides. Okay, makes sense? So that's handy. Let's look at a couple of editing tools. Mirror, obviously easy to understand. Plane cut is super critical. So there's three options here. You can cut and discard half. So in this case, it would throw out this bottom half. You can cut and keep both sides, which is handy when you're doing, certain panel selections. And then slice groups. How do we use that? So a group can be created like this. If we go Edit, Generate Face Groups, this is critical. So now it isolates, again, based on hard edges, certain panels. If I want to increase the threshold, we click this, and now it picks up less. And if you want more detail, you click that, and now it's really in there. Okay. I always change this as well because you'll see all these little dots appear because the threshold is very small. If you increase that to 50, most of those will disappear. So now it picks up larger panels. A good size is usually around 8 to 10 to pick up certain things. But again, so now we've got better isolated features without having to do individual selections. So if I want to go in here and just hit select, if I wanted to select this panel, I can do that. And another handy tool here is, let's say, for instance, that's the panel I wanted, but you can see it's got some wiggly edges on it. So if we do Control Rolly bar, it rolls out that surface, okay? Which is super critical if you're just trying to pick up certain surfaces. Now, again, it's still got this jagged edge. So how do we fix that? We hit the letter B as in boy, and that creates a border around that part. If we want to change the smoothness, if we want to do shape preserving, these are just tools you'll have to play with every time to learn them. Iterations, you can make it larger, go out, border rings, again. So play with these tools to get it the way you want it. Let's say I don't really need it that smooth, so let's keep it kind of jagged, right? Or something. So just play with this tool until you've got it the way you want it, and then it'll pick up and create a color border right there. So let's see what happens. So now we'll accept. So now we've got that specific part, right? Now this is the key. A lot of times clients or customers or people will say, hey, I just want to change this dimension. So do Edit, Generate Face Groups, select, roll it out, and now you've got any face you really want. And the next trick is using the letter T, which is transpose, okay? So now we can transpose that specific panel. We'll hit T, and we can pull it out here. We can rotate it. We can do all kinds of different things, okay? Anytime you see this surface show up, that's no good because that means the underside is showing, so and then it won't print right. So do Control Z there, okay? But let's just say, for instance, I wanted to make this just a little bit wider. So we'll pull this out just a smidge. Okay, but now we've got all these weird edges. So we'll just go Sculpt. I hold Shift, smooth it all out. Okay, and what do you know? Now it looks like it was there the whole time, right? It's rough, but you get the idea. This is how you do this. You pick individual panels, and then if I wanted to inflate a little bit, I'm like, oh, that's, okay, that's too small. Control Z, whatever. And we can sculpt this all down, okay? So those are super, super critical. Edit, Generate Face Groups, changing this size threshold, changing the angle, selecting, rolling out, okay? And then analysis, okay, let's put a couple of holes in this. So let's do select, delete. So this has an inner surface and an outer surface. It's still on Symmetry, so it did both. And then we'll make a little smaller hole just for the sake of comparison. Okay, so now we've got 4 holes. How do we fill those holes? We do analysis, inspector. Measure is important. Again, these are pretty niche. Inspector is what I use the most. So now it picks up those 4 holes and it says, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want minimum flatness, or excuse me, minimum fill, flat fill, or smooth fill? So let's do one of each. Minimum fill looks like this in this case. Flat fill looks like this, a little better. And smooth fill, again, because it's a smooth surface, probably looks the best. There it is, okay? And again, this isn't perfect, but it's so easy to fix now. So we just go in Sculpt. I hit Shift, increase the size a little bit, smooth that right back out. Bob's your uncle, you'd never know it was there. And it's doing it on both sides, right? You can see on the left it's already working. If I wanted to come in here and do the same thing and just smooth that out, I'm holding Shift again. So again, you can see the improvement already. And again, even on this one, you can make improvements. I'm Shift clicking right now. So there you go. Okay. That is pretty much all of it. Those are the basic tools that I use. And then obviously once you get something done, you want to export it. So let's do, I need to fill this hole still or else it won't export properly. So let's do analysis, inspector, smooth fill, auto repair all. Also, if there's floating parts, like if you do some editing and it's got little dots and leftover hangers, the inspector will pick those up and you'll be able to delete them, which is super handy. So, and then also if the hole doesn't look good, it'll figure that out as well. And it'll make you, I'll show you that real quick. That's actually a good tool. So let's do select. That's not a good surface. Let's try this one down here. Clear selection, select. Okay, and then we'll go delete. So now we've got this jagged edge hole. If we do analysis, let's see what it says. Nope, it still likes it. But sometimes it'll show you a red circle here and it says, hey, that needs work before I can fill it in. So in that case, what you do is, again, this is another super critical tool when you're doing, especially armor like I do. Go in here, hit Shift, and smooth out these edges. Okay. I'm just slowly shift clicking. Now I've got a nice smooth circle that I can go analysis, inspector, and it'll mesh better. We'll do smooth fill, auto repair all, and boom, there it is. And again, if you're really particular like me, if you want to go in and sculpt that and make it perfect, that's fine. Another handy tool real quick that I'll get into is, okay, so what I do a lot is I'll like the inside surface here, you'll see this edge. This is all created using offset. So let's talk about offset real quick. If you have the outside of a mesh, let's say for instance, you just have this. I'm going to hit Y here to create its own part. Okay, this is another handy tool. So I just selected, I hit Y, so now I've got my own, it's the individual part here, okay? Creates, and then if I wanted to, I can just go select these two and then recombine them, okay? And then a lot of times if you do close cracks, it gets rid of that blue. Okay, so now it's back to normal. But let's do that again. So we'll do select, we'll select that surface, we'll hit Y, and that isolates it, and then you can turn it on and off. If you want to find this show objects browser, that's what this is, okay? If you want to turn that tool on and off. Okay, but real quick, I'll show you one last tool. So say for instance, I had the outside of this helmet and I wanted to make it a whole piece with a nice clean edge here and a thickness that's controllable. So what I do is you just do select and then you do edit, or yeah, isn't it edit? Transform, control. So if you do select all, edit, here it is, offset. Okay. So if it's a big detailed file, it takes forever, but this is critical. So if I just wanted to offset this specific surface, okay, so now it's at 0.5 millimeters. If I wanted it to be 6 or 5 or whatever, it can change to whatever I want. Accuracy, again, depends on the file. Keep it at 100%. But again, you can offset specific faces. So if I wanted to, I could come in here, let's say, for instance, I'm just going to select and delete. All that was missing. Let's say that all that's gone. Okay. So what you need to do is you come in here, you select all this, and then you do edit offset. I'm not going to do it because it would take forever because this is an extremely detailed file. But like, for instance, just imagine all of this surface is external and there is no internal surface. That's what you do. You select all the outside and then you do edit offset and control that distance. So I like to make my armor 5 millimeters thick. So that's set to 5 millimeters. And then again, just be patient with it. If it crashes, which it can do if it gets really detailed, just restart it and it'll work. But that's a critical tool as well. Okay. And then exporting, real quick, we'll say accept here. If I wanted, let's say this is something I liked and I wanted to export it, literally just go to export. I export all my stuff as STLs because I do 3D printing. Okay. So that's the long and short of it. I hope you hung out all 16 minutes. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope this helps. Good luck. Message me if you have any questions. Thank you.